Well, here we go again, the Biathlon World Cup getting underway after almost 3 weeks of rest. We're in San-Sicariо in Italy, just to the west of Torino, and this, of course, the Olympic venue for next year. So our first taste of next year's Olympic tracks, and the first event today is the men's individual 20-kilometre. Well, as you can see, beautiful conditions. Not quite enough snow, but it looks as though the tracks will hold out. Patrick Winston, and alongside me, Mike Dixon, back from his racing in the British Championships. Mike, superb conditions, couldn't be better. But what do you make of the course?
It's a very roller coaster course, and I hear it's not that technical when you're out there.
Well, this is what Frank Look has to say. Ziggy Heinrich alongside him, saying welcome to San-Sicario, and of course a completely new course. We're up at 1600 meters of altitude, and because of that it's quite a tough course. And he's saying that a lot of the athletes well prepared for this. Athletes, of course, the last World Cup at Antolz. Oliana Bjørndalen not present at these World Cups. He's focusing now on the Nordic World Championships. And Ziggy just going on to say, well, just take your seats. The 20-kilometre coming up. So not a huge amount of information coming from that, Mike, but one of the things we've got to bear in mind, it's a new course. The athletes aren't that particularly prepared for it, but our information from the British athletes who've been skiing around it for the last couple of days, so it's not too tough.
Well, that's it, which is surprising. Normally on an Olympic track, this is the pre-run to next year's Olympics, you normally get a very tough, very hilly course, fast technical downhills, and we don't see much of that here. In fact, the range is the high point, and you drop right down into the basin over the next, it's a 4-kilometre loop, dropping down, and then basically you're almost generally climbing back up over the next 2 kilometres.
The weather conditions, as you can see, minus 4.9. It's going to get a lot warmer as the day goes on, and consequently nearly all the teams have elected to go in the first group, put all the top seeds in the first group, get them away while the snow is still hard and firm, and a little bit of ice from the overnight freeze. As you can see, it's starting to thaw very rapidly indeed, and that could be a major concern to those who've been drawn in groups 2, 3 and 4. And just while we're on the subject of that, Mike, I'm very surprised to see that the British haven't put one of their 3 athletes in Group 1.
Well, that's right, I'm surprised as well, Patrick. Jason Sklenar is the new coach for the team, so we wish all the British team and Jason the best of luck out there. But yes, he's obviously had an instinct that Groups 2, 3 and 4 are the best today for his athletes, and not many other teams agreeing with that, but it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. There's the course, as I said, high point is the range. We drop all the way down into a basin, and they're climbing all the way back up, effectively, into the range. There are twists and turns there, but none of them at extreme speeds. And that levels the playing field a little bit. The Norwegians love their fast downhills, the Austrians and the French do, but no real advantage to pick out of this technical course.
But the altitude really the main factor here, and the altitude will sort out those, not so much if it's a tough course as in up and down and heavy snow, then it's the stronger skiers that always come through. With altitude, it's more a question of who's on form rather than ability.
I agree, and we must remember a lot of the teams did stay up in Antholz, which is the same altitude as this, and I think that's a wise decision. Over time, you can, when you're training at altitude a lot, you lose your tempo a little bit because of the hard training and the continual living at high altitude. So it will be interesting to see how they have either gained or lost by staying up in Antholz.
So 5 days of competition scheduled here in San-Sicario. I guess we'll see a variety of Italian military uniforms, the mountain soldiers out in force and controlling things nicely. Organisation seems okay. A lot of the building's not quite ready, but that's pretty standard for pre-Olympic events. They know they've got another 12 months, but this is an opportunity to try out the timing devices, make sure that the courses are either testing enough or safe, and just go through the whole routine so they're familiar with it for next year.
Indeed, and the coaches like to look at the, as you say, almost 3 weeks preparation, if you like, before coming here. And this is a big focal point for next year. You need to get your preparation prior to coming here next year at the Olympic Games. It has to be so right. So a great opportunity the last 3 weeks for the coaches to play around with training, play around with altitude or not, and then come here and see how their athletes are performing.
Well, the events scheduled for this week, the men's individual obviously today, and many of them going through the preparation stage, just loading the magazines, each with 5 rounds, and then the women's individual tomorrow, and then on Friday we have the sprint for the men, sprint for the women on Saturday, and then the 2 relays on Sunday. So plenty of activity coming up. We'll miss out on the mass starts and the pursuits, but the relay is going to be very interesting indeed. Plenty of teams now proving that they can compete with the best. So just a few minutes to go before the men's 20 kilometre, 126 starters. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back before the start. Very good morning. Welcome to San-Sicario in Italy, just to the west of Torino, for the pre-Olympic World Cup. Race number 16 of the season for the men, and their 20-kilometre individual due underway in just a couple of minutes' time. There's Halvard Hannevold, one of the favourites, of course, the Olympic champion from '98, the world champion from 2003. This is his event. Not so quick over the snow, but a very good shot indeed. And here's another good shot, the man who's going to get the race underway, Paavo Purinen of Finland, the world champion back in 2001 in Pakluka, if my memory serves me right. And he's a man for the big occasion. We don't see much from him during the World Cup, but if he wants to win the World Cup this year, or the World Championships I should say, he's got to start producing some good confidence-building results.
Well, I think that's the big aspect with Paavo Purinen. He's now so experienced, and the press give him a hard time at World Cups sometimes when it goes wrong, but he says, trust me, on the big day I'll be in good form, and I'll trust him if that's what he says. No, that's what he means.
It's an interesting way of working. Doesn't think he can last the season, but he knows he can get his game together for a 2-3 week period in his 10th season now. Being followed out of the start gate by one of the bright young stars in the Norwegian team, Stian Eckhoff, having a great season, 8th in the World Cup standings at the moment, but he was off form in Antolz. Now we're going to see whether it's altitude he doesn't like or whether he was just a little fatigued from at the end of 3 weeks racing.
Yeah, good point. When they went to Antolz, it had been after many races, 9 races, then you go to the altitude. Eckhoff did not react well. He will have been rested quite well coming into this one, and I think he'll be back in form.
First of the Austrians to start, Wolfgang Rottmann, another former world champion in the individual. He won that in Oslo in 2000. I guess he falls in the same bracket as Purinen. Performs well on the big occasion. 19th in the World Cup standings now for the man from Altenmarkt. But I wouldn't put too much money on Rottmann taking a win here today.
Good to see the track, and there's us saying it's not that fast nor technical. It wasn't. That corner was nice and smooth. You had a good run, and interestingly you get a good speed. Obviously the faster you go down the hill, the more you carry your speed up, and Eckhoff, great example of technique at its best.
Reminds me of the Pakluka World Championship course, Mike, which was all about the downhills weren't that technical. They were fast, but the key was to carry the speed into the next steep uphill, which was like a conveyor belt. It was absolutely really tough. But those with the better downhill technique did gain an extra 3 or 4 meters on the uphill each time.
Absolutely, it's about making the skis work and resting your body as well. As we see Rottmann coming into this hill, he glided way up as far as he could. Rottmann, interestingly, he's the best prone shot so far this season at 92%, but only 71% hit rate in the standing. Let's hope he's worked on that in the last 3 weeks.
I think Vadim Sashurin might argue with that, but
but he hasn't done as many races.
No, that is true. Danny Graf of Germany, Well, he's been a revelation this year. Wasn't even put in the biathlon handbook because they didn't really think he was going to feature in the A-team, but he's got himself into the top 20 of the World Cup standings. Sven Fischer there just going through his pre-race warm-up. That looks fairly easy, Mike. I'm sure he'll be out doing a few intervals before he gets underway. How about Hannevold now? Number 7 for Norway, the Olympic champion from 1998. Hasn't had his best results in the individuals so far this year. 15th and 19th in the 2 individuals. And I think he'll be hoping for a turn in his fortunes. The shooting conditions much kinder than they were in Antholz 3 weeks ago.
That is true. The wind in Antholz was difficult and changeable, and all the readings so far, the flags are nice and calm on the range. As you can see, there's no movement whatsoever. And I don't know, interesting that this is a new range, and always great to come to a new biathlon venue because the atmosphere is different, the lead into the range is different. Of course, it's high altitude, and I just wonder if people will be finding this range different. I'm sure they will be, and I'm sure we won't be seeing the best shooting performances as we've seen all season.
Well, I would imagine they'll be better than Antholz, where we had 3 clear shoots from Bjorndalen, Krugloff and Janne Prantz, and only 4 men with 1 penalty, so the average 2.5 to 3 misses, which, but by these standards, World Cup standards, that was a very poor day. But it was one of those traditionally windy days in Antholz, causing all sorts of problems. I like the look of the course, Mike. The variations that, okay, the downhills aren't the fastest and the turns aren't the steepest, but it is continually changing, and it's all about transitions from one technique to the other. That's really going to win the day.
Yeah, it reminds me, Patrick, a little bit of the Nagano 1998 Olympic course. You drop way down from the range, then climb all the way back up to the range, effectively.
So here goes Danny Graff. Let's see what he can do today. 30th, 6th and 8th in his last 3 World Cup races. He'll be looking forward to the sprint event in 2 days' time. That's really where he fancies his chances. Doesn't look particularly smooth on the ski, Mike. Like most of the Germans, efficiency isn't really the name of the game for them.
Yeah, he was really transferring his weight over and almost dropping, using a lot of energy to drop his body weight onto his lead ski.
Vesa Hayatolati.
The next to take on this competition for
Raphael Poiré just waiting to regain the World Cup leaders bib. I think odds are on that he's going to do it today, because the news from the Norwegian camp is that Ole-Einar Bjorndalen has decided to sit out most of the World Cup action in February. Now, you'll know by now that he's planning to race in the Nordic World Championships. Still waiting to hear which events he's going to be selected for, but we're not going to see him at any stage here in San-Sicario, which is very sad, because he's such a sight when he's going well. And that finish in Antholz, 3 wins out of 3, was quite staggering.
Oh, the man is amazing, and I think it is a strength of character for Bjorndalen not to come here. He's leading the World Cup clearly. He could be the World Cup leader just by taking part in these events, but he's big enough and strong enough to stick to his overall game plan, and that takes a tough athlete to do that.
Sure.
All this man-made snow, 90% man-made snow that they're racing on. Surprising that there hasn't been a big dump of snow up here.
Steinekov looking very comfortable indeed. Certainly not overexerting himself, and the way to win an individual is to ski 4-5% less than your maximum and just make sure of all the shots, because as the skiers get faster and faster, the relative penalty for a miss gets higher and higher. And we've seen that. Bjorndalen very sensible when he went to Antholz, just skied well within himself and cleared all the targets. Others were pushing way too hard. The likes of Berger and Anderson spring to mind.
Indeed, and this is why I like the 20, because yes, as you say, you're maybe dropping down 4 or 5% from your maximum, but you're having to control your mind and your body together over the long distance. It is the ultimate test for me of self-control and managing to keep the rifle steady at your most fatigued. And I do hope they keep the 20 kilometre in the programme. Certainly they will for the Olympics.
Now, as we watch Halvard Hannevald, Mike, you've just come back from Ruhpolding and the British Championships. Was anyone there who impressed you with the skiing or the shooting?
The British team are skiing well, and sadly not at this moment shooting so well. Tom Clemens won the 10 kilometre, missing 4, and Mark Walker won the 20 kilometre, again missing 4 minutes penalty. So it can be better. If the British team work on that, they will be potentially top 30 placings, which is the real potential in ski terms.
Well, when we get a moment, we'll discuss how you think they might improve their shooting. Hannevald just going through the fastest through to the first split time. You will have seen Carl-Johan Bergman just started, and Bergman having a good run of results this year. His best season by a fair margin, 16th in the World Cup. Sergei Rozhkov has actually started. We've not seen it, but he has left the start area now. A man who's had 3 individual wins, so he could be worth a wager for today. Long ski into the first lap, 3.4 kilometres.
As we're looking at Eckhoff, interestingly in Antholz in the 20 kilometre, for the first time I've ever heard of an incident on the track, Eckhoff was trying to pass Feriol Canard, and whether Canard didn't hear him, but he shouted a number of times. And anyway, the incident turned out to be a hitting. Canard, I believe, whacked Eckhoff across the face with a ski pole. He was so angry when his ski pole snapped as Eckhoff came past, and so there was a bit of an incident there, and I'm sure we won't see that again today.
Largeberger just starting, could produce one of the quickest times in the absence of Aliana Bjorndalen. Just behind him, starting number 20, Alexander Wolf, who's I don't think he's really fulfilled his potential as yet. Top 20 in the World Cup standings now, but certainly when he hit the World Cup scene, we thought here was a man who was going to do great things. Contiolahti, where he got himself on the podium, but everything sort of went a little flat after that. He went to Nagano, didn't get a start in the race. So we'll watch Wolf with keen eyes today. Pavel Rostovtsev of Russia starting now. No points in the World Cup, partly because of injury suffered in the summer.
Indeed, yes, badly broken leg back in April last year. And the coaches are obviously putting a lot of confidence in Rostovtsev as Purunen comes in for his prone shooting.
Now watch for the wind movement. There was next to none when they zeroed 45 minutes ago. And Purunen will have seen the telltales just fluttering a little. Nice and relaxed. Not a good start for the Finn, who's got an 83% hit rate in the prone so far this year. He's not improved on that. Now, can Stianerkov get the first one down? Yes. That's a promising start from Eckhoff. As we said, Mike, he looked to be skiing well within himself. A sensible start. Question is, if it goes well in the next 2 shoots, will he get overexcited for the last one?
Yeah, it's a good point, but it does display good control there from Eckhoff, going clear. Rotman, we mentioned earlier, one of the best prone shots. And there we go, 5 with 5.
Nice quick drills from Rotman. Certainly worth practicing those drills, even if you save half a second each time you leave the range. That adds up over a race, and 2 seconds can be 2 or 3 places at this sort of level.
I think this man, Schlesinger, I think he's going to be one of the biggest names in the future. He is today doing well, but over the next 5-10 years, I think he's going to be one of the big names in biathlon.
Well, he's had 3 top 30 results so far this year, and he's got a very good start indeed. 5 seconds up on Stianerkov. Now, Alexander Aas from Norway lives in Tromsø, right up the north, the Paris of the North, as it's known. Lovely, smooth skier, very, very efficient indeed. Could do something special today.
So Danny Graf, the young German, powering his way up the hill. Conservative start, and but that's okay when it's 20 kilometers.
As we watch Hannibal just for his first shoot, next time we see Graf, Mike, have a look at his hands when he's poling. See if you can spot anything that you disapprove of. Not the sort of shoot you expect from a world and Olympic champion in this discipline. Hannibal will be furious with that because the sights are obviously okay. The first four going down okay. The wind is moving around, Mike, but it really shouldn't be causing too much of a problem.
We'll see exactly where the strike missed. That was a good hit. A little bit high right. Again to the right, central right. Absolutely central, so we're expecting possibly high right, the missed shot. In fact, high central. As if he snatched that one, he's tried to get the shot away quickly, and a preempting of the shot. He will be very angry with that, Hannibal.
No surprise to see Lars Berger take the fastest time at the first intermediate split. 4 seconds up on his teammates, but still looking reasonably comfortable. When Berger gets it together, Mike, he's such an exciting biathlete. But do you think his lack of experience on the World Cup just means that he gets overexcited? He tries to use his strengths too much, and his strength being his skiing.
Possibly, but the main image when you see Lars Berger is he just looks so relaxed. He's not. He's on his limit, but he does appear to be in control. It's just his the errors that he picks up on this part of the biathlon. Squeezing the trigger.
Frank Ulrich looking on as Danny Graf prepares for his first shoot.
Now, Danny Graf at the end of this barrel, you can see quite a heavy square weight. That is a weight. He's adding extra 250, 350 possibly grams. And it's working well for him. The reason some of these athletes are adding weight to the end of the barrel is because it reduces the movement from your heartbeat going through the rifle. It just deadens it, adds extra weight, so there is more control when you're trying to steady the rifle.
Here we go with a replay of Danny Graf's shots. Grouping not spectacular, but all the shots well within the prone target range, so I think he'll be encouraged by that. I don't think Frank Ulrich will be too concerned that some were high, some were low, some were right, some were left, but
he'll be happy with the hits.
They've all gone down, yeah.
Great to see this man, Berger, in slow motion, the ultimate ski machine. What power.
Surprised to see him dragging that right ski tip, a little lazy perhaps, or maybe the balance on the ski not quite right. If you move the binding forward a fraction, it just does lift the ski tip up, but on those right, the recovery of the right leg just has the potential for tripping himself up. Issa, the best of the Japanese, but that's not the best start he's ever had. 3 minutes added to his time, he's out of contention already. Big strong start from Schlesinger. It's a high work rate that he's putting in there.
At 22-year-old, he is going for it, Schlesinger.
Now, what about this man's chances today? Rico Gross of Germany, so consistent, still the best shot if you take both standing and prone into consideration, and Rico just waiting for his starting orders. He starts number 41 today, 4th in the World Cup rankings, just behind his teammate Sven Fischer. So amazing that the two old guard left in the German team are still there, Mike, in contention, both with a chance of taking the overall title this year, should Poiré and Bjorndalen slip up.
Indeed, and yeah, Fischer having a great season as well. Rico, I expect Rico's racing form, raw ski speed, to be improving leading into the World Championships.
So many of the pre-Olympic events taking place in the last months. We've just seen the cross-country in Pragelato. Raphael Poiré now starting, looking to overtake Oleiner Bjorndalen in the World Cup. Remember, he was right off form. He was ill, in fact, in Antolz. Didn't start in the pursuit, just said, no, I need to recover. So he's had a little longer rest than everyone else, but the question is, has he fully recovered? And I know you, for one, Mike, have been struck down by the flu that's hit most of these athletes, and it's not one of those ones that goes away in 4 or 5 days.
No, it doesn't. It affects your lungs. There's a lot of phlegm, and yeah, a little bit of a strange virus was going around, but I'm sure he'll be over. As we see Bergman once again starting so well for Sweden.
Great season Bergman's having. Might be worth an outside shot for a medal at the World Championships. If he was to do that, which event do you think he'd take it in?
It's a tough one. I mean, he is shooting so well over the 4 visits and skiing well, so I think it would be in the individual, if any. We've seen him do well in the pursuit also. Roshkov having problems there, putting his round, his bullet forward.
Lars Berger also in the range, his first miss. And again for Berger, skiing fast, shooting poor. 2 minutes added to Berger's time. Rojkov has run out of ammunition. Now he's having a look around, trying to find the spare round, which when it ejects can go a good 5 or 6 meters. He's found it on the next door mat. Now, has he stayed within the rules?
I believe he has there, Patrick. His rifle was in the air and stayed on his lane. His body was out of the lane. Technically you should put the rifle on, but the rifle did stay safe. Now the jury will be looking at this right now.
Well, let's hope that he doesn't, because he's got all 5 down. He's lost 30 seconds anyway, so he doesn't need an additional penalty. Wolf throws the last 2 wide. That is not a good start. You can see the despondency on his face. Now here comes the favourite German, I think, for the day. Rico Gross, so good with the rifle, and that's exactly what you need in the individual discipline. Looks nice and light on the legs at the moment. It may all change in 45-50 seconds time. You get an impression of how you feel so quickly in the race.
You do, especially when you're going as far as 20 kilometers today. Rico, though, will not be pushing himself way over into oxygen debt and too much lactic build-up, which is the byproduct of overworking.
Now, Pavel Rostovtsev needs a good result here in Italy if he wants to secure a place in the World Championships. That's a nice solid start. That's more like the Rostovtsev of old. He's been on the Europa Cup tour for some time this season while he's been recovering. Came back into action, good relay result just before the break, but hasn't scored any World Cup points this year, and you feel that he's got to get a top 10, top 15, even to be considered for the World Championships.
Indeed, the coaches are still putting a lot of faith in Rostovtsev, bringing him back in, giving him every opportunity to get his experience and performance back to normal.
Carl Zeiss certainly seemed to have cornered the market in biathlon scopes.
Yeah, very good lenses, and all the coaches are scoping all the targets. Of course, when your own athlete's in, you'll pay more interest to your own athlete, but just looking for any trend in the wind to inform their athletes out on the track.
Sten Eckhoff in for his second shoot. Remember, in the individual, it alternates between prone and standing. Clear on the prone. Good start for Eckhoff. So that's a disappointing shoot in the end for Eckhoff. Now, Mike, I could have sworn that in the prone he shot left to right, and in the standing he shot right to left. Can you confirm or
I'm just trying to think that there's one or two athletes that do that. Normally you have a routine right to left and stay with that in both the prone and the stand, because you're leaning in the standing, you're leaning into your body, if you like, rather than falling away from your body. So it is quite surprising to see that from Eckhoff.
Well, we'll watch him in the next shoot. The next shoot, of course, prone. So hopefully we'll pick up on his shoot. Wolfgang Rottmann fading away his chances with...
Oh, he's struggling. A lot of body movement there.
So he's going to be not too far off the pace, because Eckhoff, of course, missing. Paavo Purinen missed in the first prone, so he's way off the pace at the moment. Here comes Frode Andersen. It will be a little bit of a lottery as to what he's going to manage to do today. You know he'll be quick. Question is, will he be able to hit more than 3 or 4 targets?
One of the few left-handers, Alexander Oss, which means his left eye is the stronger eye.
But it is always awkward entering the range from the left. You have to do a turn, and there you see him doing a complete turn as he comes out. I don't think that was quite so necessary, but Oss has cleared the targets and he's kept himself up in the top 10 positions. 11-10, that's not a bad start. Really, although he's 26 now, he's still a youngster in the Norwegian team, but got great company with the likes of Hannevold and Hjelland and Bjorndalen, of course, to train alongside. What an advantage that is.
Well, Hannevold has picked up now 2 penalties, 1 prone, 1 stand. I personally had him tabbed for a top 3 performance today, Hannevold.
How many are going to go clear today? There's no wind worth speaking of. It may pick up as the sun comes up over the hills.
Best Italian, sadly on home ground, missing 2 in his first prone. But that really is, with 16 kilometres to go, you've picked up 2 minutes penalty. It really is a little bit of a depressing thought. You cannot dwell on it though, you have to get out there and perform your best.
So Sven Fischer, who's really been very impressive this year. 3rd in the World Cup rankings at the moment. He's already notched up 4 wins on the World Cup. 1 of those in the individual. That was an outstanding performance in Oslo at the beginning of the year. And Sven still in contention for the overall. Only 49 points behind Ole Einar Bjorndalen.
Grice. Just looking at the flags, Patrick, the wind is picking up. The currents, the warm air beginning to create some wind movement here on the range.
Well, Frank Orik can't have much to say other than the fact that it's going very well. Mickey Grice nice and accurate. Of course, Danny Graf knocked down 5 targets, so the Germans clearing without any problem at the moment. Can Graf keep that record? Nice and quick. Perhaps too quick. 4 out of 5. It's still competitive. 22.56 on the clock. Novikov of Belarus has slipped through with the fastest time so far. 22.50. A good margin. 33 seconds up on Halvard Hannevold, and almost a minute ahead of Stian Eckhoff. Danny Graf goes into 2nd place. 23.08. 18 seconds down, and still in with a chance of getting a good top 5 finish here in Italy.
Mickey Grice has the fastest time after the first shoot by 0.9 of a second to Schlesinger of the Czech Republic.
Vincent Defrin, I'm not sure whether that was his number coming off. I can still see a number on the left-hand side of his leg.
He's certainly shouting to his coaches.
unless it, what do you think it could have been? Glasses, magazine, maybe we'll get a replay of that. Can't see it from where we are. Here comes Sven Fischer, looking as powerful as ever. Huge power. Look how those carbon fibre poles transmit the power down into the snow. Longitudinally, very, very strong indeed. But if you just clip the ski, they break without too much problem.
They are very delicate. Just looking at this course profile, Patrick, I think this suits Sven Fischer so well. He's got the power, the track is pressed so hard, and he is a power machine. As we look at another power machine, Frode Andresen.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what sort of a ski time he produces, and I think the very fact that we're up at 1600 metres is going to mean that a lot of the top athletes disrupt their World Cup programme next year in preparation for this event. They don't want to be tired, they don't want to spend too much time at altitude, but they've got to do some altitude training if they're going to be able to cope with this course here in San-Sicario. Now, Raphael Poiret, can he knock 5 down? Surely he won't have a problem at this stage.
Perfect.
Very, very good. France with a chance of taking the top 2 spots. We've got Vincent de Fran leading, 10:38. If he takes Poiret's scalp yet again, then that really will be a turn up for the books. I think Poiret's struggling to stay the French #1, but he's gone clear, he's in contention, and France have 1 and 2 at the moment. Now, Mike, changing sports for a little, how do you rank Ellen MacArthur's efforts compared to the biathletes, and in particular someone like Poiret?
Well, the round the world sailing record, as we nearly see an accident there. Poiret very nearly overshot his lane. Yeah, it's endurance, it's mind control to sail around the world, limited sleep, so you're focused all the time, and there are crossovers. You have to be focused all the time in biathlon for this part, the skiing, to then come in and control your body. But no, what an achievement for Ellen MacArthur to set that world record. And I believe it was held by a Frenchman previously.
It was Francis Joyon. Absolutely right. So it's nice for the Brits to beat the French at something. But if you were to pick a biathlete, who would you choose to put in Ellen's place and say, right, there's a guy who's got the control, got the knowledge? I mean, the enormous amount of knowledge that you need to be able to sail a boat like that. I know the technology is good, but you've got to know how to mend it when it goes wrong. Which biathlete do you think would be able to get up every 20 minutes to check on things?
I think the focus and the strength of mind and character. I look to Poiret. He's a machine of focus and concentration, and when he wants to achieve something, he does make it happen. So for me, he is one of the strongest minds out there in biathlon.
That would be interesting. Bjorndalen versus Poiret in a small trimaran. We won't put them in B&Q quite yet.
Roshkov putting it together so well, as usual. 0-0.
Rico Gross. Standard start for him, surely. 5 out of 5, and his record of hitting over 90% of prone targets stays intact for now. He's a little off the pace, but really don't be too concerned about that. 10:47, tends to start a little bit slower, and he'll save something for the last lap if he's still in contention. Fischer will do exactly the same. Bailly of France, she'll be racing tomorrow in the women's individual. Surprised to see her out spectating, or?
Well, the French team do tend to go out there if they have an opportunity to shout their teammates on, and that's why they have such a good team spirit, the French. But yeah, you'd expect her to be resting up for her race tomorrow.
Good start from Sherazov, who of course put in a brilliant performance in Oslo, finishing 4th there. Just didn't have the ski speed to get himself a podium finish, but he left the range in Oslo as the leader, but dropped 3 places in the last loop. But good to see that he's still shooting well. Rostovtsev misses his first, 9 out of 10 so far, but he's not too far off Bergman's pace. We'll just get an update on the positions after the second shoot. Rojkov leading, Bergman in second at the moment. Rostovtsev should go into 3rd or 4th. Novikov, Brissis, Graf all there. No Spul absentees from the top positions. Little surprise, Paavo Purinen, Mike, 2 misses. He's well down off the pace at the moment. And Alexander Wolf, I think, will be disappointed. 12th place at the moment, 3 misses already.
Eckhoff down in 8th. Berger in 9th, but Berger has missed 3 targets, though only 2 minutes behind, so he's skiing a minute faster than Roshkov after only 8 kilometres.
Do you think the French will feel at home here, just being a few kilometres from the French border on this western side of Italy, not far from the French Alps?
Indeed, yeah. I mean, they do a lot of training on the Team Glacier in the summer, and that's not very far away at all, so similar atmosphere and not a huge journey. Aderov for Belarus, that's a good start for him.
Only the third man to go clear at the halfway stage. Rozhkov has done so, Russia and Belarus going well, and Ilmar Brisis of Latvia has gone clear in 5th position at the moment. What's Aderov's time? 21.56. He's got a 3-second advantage over Sergei Rozhkov. 2 of the big old names doing exceptionally well.
As we pick on Auberge on the range, a lot of these, I think, older, experienced athletes, they've got their mind on the Olympics and want to put it together well today as a feel-good factor for the rest of the summer and leading up to the Olympics. Could be Aderov's day. Oh, last shot there missed, which is the first shot missed for Auberge.
Back to the Austrians. Wolfgang Rotman. 3 misses. Well, he's still got a chance of a top 10, which is useful World Cup points, but he's the sort of man who sets out to win every single race. He's strong enough, he's fast enough to do it when he's on form, but not with 3 misses added to his name. You may recognise the shape of Sergei Chepikov. First individual win back in 1989. Yeah. And you heard it right, 89, 15, 16 years ago, Chepikov taking that win. 9 out of 10, it's in contention, Mike. He needs to clear the rest, though.
He needs to clear the rest. He made a mistake on his first prone, but when I mentioned the older, experienced athletes, this is one of the best. He will want to put this so well today to carry that power in his mind for next year Olympics, should he make the Olympics. A lot of young Russians challenging him now.
Now, Hannavold hasn't had the sort of day we would have expected from him. Another man who needs to just pick up on his shooting. We were talking about the British shooting performances, Mike. While we're watching Hannavold, what would you do to change their fortunes on the range?
I think it's a question of more practice in the dry shooting, just standing, holding your rifle, going through these routines at night in your hotel room, and just feeling the thoughts and the feelings going through your mind and body as you're lining up, holding and supporting the rifle.
And of course that develops the tiny groups of muscles that do actually support the rifle, because if you haven't got them, you start to shake very early on. And anything else, any other benefit you get from dry shooting?
Just again, the muscles you're teaching, the balance muscles, especially in the standing, you're just focusing on a target on the wall, and it's giving you self-belief that you can keep that rifle stable. Because remember, these athletes are only 10-15 beats off their maximum. They're gasping for air, so there's a lot of movement.
Good start for Sven Fischer as he comes out of the range. 5 out of 5, and he's up in the top 5 as well. 10.41, just a tenth of a second behind Mickey Grice. Those two having a good battle in World Cup races. Let's have a look at where Fischer's shots have gone. Looked to be low right to me. A little lucky with that one. Frank Ulrich of Germany will be happy with the way things are going. All his men going through the prone without any problem at all. Now, can Mickey Grice clear the standing as well to put him effectively into the lead? Still 50 seconds or so inside Eiderov's time. Lots of movement, but good reflexes. Mickey Grice goes clear, joins the 3 other men who've gone clear at this stage. Eiderov and Rozhkov 1 and 2, but I think Grice is going to be comfortably inside their time. Is he heading for a World Cup win? Well, certainly not if he's thinking about it.
If he's thinking about it, but he set out this season to win a World Cup. That's what he said, that's what he wants, and he fights so hard every time. I hope today he can do that. I mean, look at the aggression here. This man is really on a mission.
But he's got to control it all the same. Not a particularly good start number for Mickey Grice. I think he would have preferred to go a little later on. Drinks being taken on board by Schlesinger of the Czech Republic. And 20k, Mike, we're looking at an hour or so's racing. You could certainly survive the race without taking on a drink, but it's all about recovery afterwards.
Indeed, and most teams have opted for 2 or 3 drink stops within the 20 kilometres. Defran lining up on the middle target first, then to the right. Then left, but he went back to take the final one on the right.
So Defran coming out 9 out of 10. Talking about drinks, most of the teams choosing to take their drinks at the top of the hills so they don't lose too much speed. Another pair of glasses. That's exactly what went wrong earlier on for the number 34, Vincent Defran. We saw him drop something on the range. It must have been his glasses, but a spare pair has been provided. Freda Anderson, 5 out of 5 would have been a brilliant start for him and would have put him up into the top 5 positions.
He can still do well, Frode, with missing 1 so far. Another old campaigner, Gredler from Austria, having a good season.
Almost looked as though he was falling over there, just not quite in balance, but reflexes once again right on target. 5 out of 5 in the stand. He's clear at the moment, and Gredler will join the top 4, just splitting the 2 Russians, Rozhkov and Chepikov. Poiré looking a little hunched.
Oh, that's his classic style, isn't it? Really hunched over, getting his head as close to the sights as possible, but it's working well.
Ski time still not as good as that of Mickey Grice. I wonder whether he's not fully recovered.
Interestingly, his wife Liv Greta, I've heard from Norway this morning, is back on very good form, and they tend to work together well. So if she's in good form, you get the feeling that Raphael is coming back on into his best form again.
But part of the reason for that is that when one of them gets ill, or if Emma the child gets ill, then they all get it. So they go up and down together. What you don't want is to be alternating, so when one gets ill they get, and then it just keeps going backwards and forwards. Quick drink for Raphael Poiré. In ideal terms, how often do you like to drink if you're doing a longer event?
Yeah, for the 20 kilometre, I like to take 3, possibly 4. So after the first shoot, take the first couple of mouthfuls, and after each shoot, in fact, take a few mouthfuls of drink, so 4 times.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the camelbacks, which allow you to take a little sip every 4 or 5 minutes. Certainly for training, I think that's the best way to go. Now, what can Bergman do? Good start so far, and the Swede has gone clear again. Could be on for, I don't think it's going to be his best of the season, but I don't think it's going to be too long before we see Bergman winning World Cups.
Yeah, good performance there. He's building with confidence and self-esteem all the time. As this man, the ultimate hunter, Poiré. So good in the pursuit races, Poiré.
Zhang of China, highlight of his season, of course, in Antolz, where he came second in this particular event, the individual. But in fact on that day he missed 1 target, but his skiing was quite unbelievable, and I think he shocked every single international coach here. 9 out of 10 so far for Zhang. Still got a chance of getting a top 10. Now Rico grows so focused.
Well, Rico won't be impressed with himself there. It was an error. It appeared as if he just preempted the shot. Not quite on the ski form either, Rico. 30 seconds slower than his teammate, Grice.
Is it as important for the coach to scope on the standing shoot? I mean, what information can he gain when it's a reflex that the rifle, incidentally, doesn't remain aimed on the target and there's lots of movement, so it's just a question of mistimed reflexes.
I think it is, yeah. There's no real information on the rifle zero because you're aiming at the target. I think some athletes like to know where they've missed on the standing. If it's high, generally it's a preempt of the shot, and you react, a flinch, if you like, in your body. But I certainly never like to see any missed stand shots. It's pointless. You miss, and that's the bottom line.
Apologies for missing Sherazov going through. He has taken the lead by 1.6 seconds. Sherazov, Grice, Poirier, the top three at the moment. Aidarov, Rozhkov, 4 and 5. Gredler down in 6. The Russians having an excellent day, but the French will be delighted that Poirier has gone clear through the first 2 shoots. The Germans ecstatic that Danny Graf is going well, and also Mickey Grice, who started number 32. And Grice is through the first 2 shoots without a miss. Rostovtsev with a chance to make up for that miss in the first of the standing. That's looking ominously good. 34.15 on the clock. He's half a minute or so off the podium positions. But I think this is just what Rostovtsev needs, a confidence-building run, and we'll see better and better from him as we approach the World Championships. Danny Graf coming in for his last shoot shortly. 46 seconds off the lead set by Novikov. Seen very little of Novikov so far. He started number 6. He's a good sprinter. His personal best in World Cup competition, 13th. So he's got a chance of improving that today. Aidarov.
Well, the caption's wrong there. It's actually Clegg, that was, who started his race well.
Here's Aidarov.
Well, this first missed shot for Aidarov.
First man through the last shoot. Stienekov. Oh, what a shame.
Well, as you see on that score, 0-2-0-2, it's his stand today that's let Ekhoff down. Roger Gruben raging out to the staff on the course to let them know the score. So much body movement from Rotman. You can almost see the pulse vibrating through the rifle, especially in the carrying harness there.
Now, how's Sergei Chepikov going to do on his third shoot? Good so far, right to left, 5 out of 5. He's got 14 out of 15. The ski time is okay. Rozhkov's safe in first place with 32.51. 33.33 for Bergman has been beaten, and Chepikov goes second. Russia now 1 and 2. Excellent start to the day for them. Remember though, we've got Mickey Grice out on the course, who's a little bit quicker than the Russians, and so is Raphael Poirier, who's got another 3 or 4 minutes before he comes in for shoot number 3. But what an effort from the Russian veteran. Chepikov through in second. Last shoot now for Halvard Hannevold. Consistently 1 miss on each one. How do you feel?
I think with Hannevold's strength of mind, he will be wanting to get 5 here. So let's hope it's just 3 penalties today for the Norwegian. Sven Fischer missing 1.
Change in the rhythm for the 5th shot, but he holds it together, and at last Hannevold clears the 5. 3 misses in all. 43.15 would have been a hugely impressive time. Just haven't got any of the computer stats up at the moment for the 4th shoot, but we will very shortly. And Hannevold can just turn it up now as he heads towards the finish. Just over 3 kilometers to go. Two Norwegians now skiing together. Hannevold didn't quite pick up who he's caught up. It looked like certainly got a shot of Freda Andersen just a minute ago. Good demonstration of how to make the transition. Villemo catching 5 or 6 yards on Hannevold coming off the bottom of the downhill. Partly ski speed, I suspect, but also technique. Villemo, a very good alpine skier as well. Now, big moment for Mickey Grice. Clear so far. Looking for that first World Cup win. Very solid indeed. Didn't rush it, and he stays clean. I think when he gets to 20 out of 20, we'll see a smile from Frank Ulrich, but not yet. He knows that the last shoot is the hardest by a long, long way. Here's the fall of shot for Mickey Grice. Low right for the first, low left for the second. All the Germans seem to be going a little bit low. Mike, anything to do with the fact that the sun has come up and it's got considerably brighter?
Well, possibly. The targets are still in the shade. It's unusual where you get the targets in the shade. They have got a bit of a roof built over them, so the light generally shouldn't be making too much of a difference. Grice has been second on 3 occasions in World Cups. He wants a win. I wonder if in this next 4 kilometres he's thinking about his final stand shoot, and if that goes clear, he's going to win today.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, if he spends too much time thinking about it, he's got very little chance of clearing the targets. He's just got to treat it as a training run. Defrat, 2 mistakes, expensive. He's quick, but 2 minutes added to the time. That effectively is 700 metres.
Huge wide leg support there from Danny Graf. That is a huge spread of balance. Not many take it so wide, but it's working so well for the young German.
So 19 out of 20 for Danny Graf. 47.09 from Novikov is going to be beaten. The Belarus athlete went 1:01.02, missing 2 on that last standing shoot, losing his lead position. And Germany have it now. Danny Graf, 45.58. That is very encouraging indeed. And should Mickey Grice make a mistake on the last stand, then those two are going to have an almighty battle in the closing stages.
I like the way that Danny Graf has upped his tempo. Look at the anger there for missing. But he really is opening up his final 4 kilometres. He's going to charge around. In fact, that was a look of excitement, actually. He did go clear in his last standing.
What has happened to Ludwig Gredler? Things just go from good to better to brilliant. 15 out of 15 so far. Can Poiré match him?
Poiré is beginning to lift his ski speed now as well. He was slightly off the pace, but if anyone can, he can change things in a race and improve and dig deeper.
After the second shoot, Raphael Poiré was still trailing Mickey Grice at that stage. He was 8 seconds behind the German, and now after the third, Poiré is 13 seconds down. So it's all down to the shooting. Grice hasn't built himself enough of a margin to be able to afford a single miss on that last shoot. And the greater the pressure, the worse it is. If you were his coach, what would you tell him?
For Grice?
Yes.
I would be telling him exactly as it is. I would say, look, you're having the race of your life today. Just relax. Just do your normal routine. Treat it as training.
Well, I have to say, from my physio training, Mike, the one thing they said, when you want someone to relax, never tell them to relax, because it has the opposite effect. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure it wouldn't be better to keep it, just stay ignorant, just say, good race, you're going well, things are looking good.
Yeah, but you've got to have information out there. Grice knows that he can win today. At the moment, he's 13 ahead of Poiré, and I think it would be unfair not to give him that info.
Well, he's got another man to contend with, because Bergman has had a super day. 19 out of 20, 44.44 on the clock. Well, that's outstanding. He's got a very, very good time indeed. After the third shoot, the Swede was... can we just check the third shoot on the computer to see how Bergman was getting on? He was 1:17 down. So I guess if Grice goes clear, he'll be okay.
Roshkov has gone clear. Look at that. Now there's another one up there at the sharp end. He's going to take almost minutes off Bergman's time.
So Roshkov coming out of nowhere to post his time, 43.51, as you say, just under a minute inside Bergman's time. So the Swede isn't going to win today. Alexander Wolf likewise, 5 misses in all. Rico Gross. No, it's not often in an individual that you can say one miss rules you out of a win, but I'm afraid that is the case today.
That is the case today. Rico's got the very light sprint biathlon rifle, but he has added the heavy weight at the end as well.
So one shoot still to go for the likes of Poiré and Grice and Gross. Nikolai Kruglov, Mike. We haven't seen much of the young Russian so far. He should be through the 3rd shoot. Certainly hasn't got as far as the 4th one as yet. I wonder whether we've got any information on his score. Sherazov, excellent start again. Now, what's the time like? 32.16, the time he's after. He's just inside that. I think Sherazov may be inside the likes of Poiré as well. He is. 32.25. He's got a second over the Frenchman, but he's trailing by 9.2. Oh, it's all going to be down to the last shoot. A question of nerve now in Italy as to who is going to take this pre-Olympic individual event. Pavel Rostovtsev, just that one miss in his first stand. 45.58, chasing Danny Graf. If he goes clear, could be inside. Lots of movement, too much movement from Rostovtsev. You could almost feel his pain as he struggled to hit that last target. Ekhoff comes in, 4 misses in all, 58.03, and that could be a top 15, but it's certainly not going to be his best of the year. Wolfgang Rotman, another man to have missed 4. 58.03 from Ekhoff. Rotman's going to be just inside that. I think he's been pacing himself on the Norwegian the whole way round, and I think that's what cost him targets in the early stages of the race.
And there's the effort. Nearly an hour of racing at this altitude, carrying this heavy rifle. Oh, Aderov has meltdown at the end there, missing 2. His final standing.
Well, come on then, Mike. After the 3rd shoot, we've got a very interesting situation with Grice, Sherazov, Poiré, Rojkov all clear. Gredler is also clear at that stage. Which one of them is your money on to clear the last 5?
So, well, certainly Poiré, but I still got this feeling that Mickey Grice is going to put this right. We have seen him miss 2 targets in his final standing in the past when the pressure's on, but Grice just looks so up for this race today.
Well, it's only going to be a couple of minutes before he comes in for the last shoot. Started number 32, Mickey Grice.
This is good from Aubert as well, from France. Chepikov just skiing out. It's all happening. I love these 20 kilometers. A combination of mind and endurance. Now the last 2 shots for Aubert.
How about Hannavold? 3 misses, 56.11, 142 inside Rotman's time, skiing very well. I think that's a good sign. I think Hannavold will be happy enough with that. He'll go away, do some work on the shooting, but the fact that he's skiing a minute 42 faster than Rotman, or in fact 42 seconds, because Rotman missed 1 more, but he'll be delighted with that, and he's obviously a little bit quicker than Stian Ekhoff as well. Chepikov heading towards the finish. Sven Fischer still got a lot of work to do. he'll be regretting being on too good a form early in the season. He may have adjusted his summer training a little, just eased off the intervals to bring himself up, or eased off the distance training to bring his form up at the beginning of the year. He was in great form, 4 wins already for Fischer, but the ski speed is starting to indicate that he's tiring.
It does a little bit, though with Sven, we've seen it in so many races. He can bring out this extra push in the final 8 kilometres, and that's exactly what he's got left, 8 kilometres. Chepikov went out after the last shoot, only 5.9 seconds behind his teammate who hit all targets. Chepikov missed one. So Chepikov has to pick up, well, 6 seconds to win.
Fancy him for another title this year?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, Chepikov. This kind of race is what he likes. The endurance. A 38-year-old only 1 week ago, his birthday. It's interesting, Sven lost his speed coming into that hill and was almost skied into by, I think that's Kunninen from Finland behind him. It's interesting the drink stop they have on the big steep downhill prior to that climb. The Norwegians, when they were taking the drink stop, they lost a lot of their speed out of the climb. I'm sure they'll be reviewing that. Well, this is Mickey Grice's big moment.
The moment of truth. A World Cup win on the cards if he can hit 5. He'll be lucky to get on the podium if he misses 1. Oh, good for Mickey Grice. What a nerve he's demonstrated there. Fantastic stuff. Frank Ulrich at last breaks into a smile, and Grice has done what was required, but he's got 3.4 kilometers to go, and it has got to be the quickest 3.4 he's ever skied. 26 seconds inside the time set by Rojkov and Chepikov, but Grice has some big names chasing him, the likes of Raphael Perret for one. Now, he's been working hard all the way, Mike. How much energy has he got left?
Oh, unbelievable. Grice, his head is flopping all over the place. He's on his limit, but he knows he can win today, and he's got 4 kilometers to hang on in there. Hjelland could upset things.
He's not going to take top spot, too slow, and a miss. So Hjelland suddenly drops out of contention. The Norwegians had a brilliantly successful time in Antolz 3 weeks ago. Hasn't happened so far today. Danny Graff comes in 56.07. Good quick skiing, 19 out of 20. The German shooting has certainly gone up 3 levels in the space of 2 weeks. Going to have a chat with Frank Ulrich and see exactly what the secret is there. Vincent Defrain, 18 out of 20. It's good by, it's brilliant by my standards, not so good by his.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed. He's been establishing himself as one of the best 20-kilometer athletes out there. But 2, he'll be disappointed with missing 2, as will Haitalahti.
Well, the shooting standard really very high indeed, and an indication of what we can expect next year. I think those who want the gold medal in this individual, the traditional event, know now that they've got to go 20 out of 20.
But the big different factor next year will be 15,000 people here right behind the shooting range, and that adds the tension, the excitement. They'll be cheering. We don't have that today.
Raphael Perret from France should be in very shortly for his final shoot, looking to chase down Mickey Grice. Rojkov heading towards the finish, 20 out of 20 for Rojkov today. 26 seconds down on Mickey Grice, but before we switch to Perret, who's wearing number 37, here he is. Pressure was on. He's been cracked by Mickey Grice.
He has, and Gredler as well. He's missed 2 there, having hit everything so far.
So the danger of getting involved in a duel with someone on the individual, it makes you ski harder, it makes you shoot faster, and it makes you make mistakes. 1 miss for Perret, and he has a good long glance at the the screen in the stadium just to find out where he is, and I guess that will determine how hard he works on this final loop, but it is not going to be Poiret's day. Bergman's had an excellent run, 19 out of 20 for the Swede, and 54.59 puts him in top spot ahead of Graf. Good ski, good shooting. He's so consistent this year. That's really what's impressed me.
All the time consistent. He had one meltdown in one race, Bergman, but overall, what a fantastic season he's having. Roshkov, perfect shoot here. Brilliant performance.
And 53.51, so a minute and 8 seconds off Bergman. All the Russians skiing well, Mike. They seem to have timed their charge pretty well. Chepikov skiing well. We haven't seen Kruglov as yet, and we'll try and catch up on the information on the British athletes, but I can tell you that all the Brits started late. Tom Clements started 85, Mark Walker went number 100, 125 for Joe Brooks.
Just try and look through the splits and see where they are as Wolf comes in, 4.29 behind. At 18.3 kilometres, Chepikov has managed to catch the 5.9 seconds and take a further second, so he's leading Roshkov's time by 1.1 second.
So it could be a podium finish for Sergei Chepikov.
Mickey Grice just gone through at 18.3 kilometres. He's ahead of Chepikov by 25 seconds. Here he is, working so hard. Has he left anything in his body for this final 1.9 kilometres? 1.7 in fact. You know, if you're a coach, the one man you can depend on to bring that little bit extra out of himself is Mickey Grice. So I can't see anybody beating him today.
Not only winning a World Cup hasn't happened yet, but it does look as though it's on the cards, but also beating the rest of the German squad. That means almost as much to Mickey Grice, getting the scalp of Gross and Fischer, which he's certainly going to do. Rico Gross hasn't been out of the top 20 this year. 158 outside, so missing one target, Rico Gross, but also skiing a little bit slower than the Russians. Sherazov, another one who's had a fantastic day, 8.4 off the lead. Grice isn't quite as safe as we thought. 8.4 seconds. That relates to around 40 metres, 45 metres maybe, and that is the sort of distance that you can go for.
Indeed, 4 kilometres, 40 metres. Sherazov is going to be killing himself to try and take his first victory.
And he's got the advantage of starting behind Mickey Grice. There's no one else out there who's threatening that time, but look at that, Mike. We've got Grice clear, Sherazov has gone clear, Chepikov missed just one, Poiret one, Bergman just missing one, Rico Gross the same, Graf and Ferry just one miss each. The standard of shooting is quite exceptional here. Now, Cheppy, what's he managed to do over the last loop? We suspect he's gone ahead of Roshkov, 53.51. He's well inside that, 53.34. Brilliant last leg from Chepikov. If he hadn't missed that first prone, he would have been in contention for a win. Would have been his first this year. And extend his run of winning to 16 seasons, which is quite unbelievable.
That is brilliant. Respect for Chepikov.
Now, Grice, I think, will have been given the news that he cannot afford to ease off, because we've seen Sherazov on the charge. Sherazov, remember, was leading in Oslo after his last shoot, but he faded dreadfully. Question now is whether he's picked it up. We suspected his skis weren't too good on that day. Certainly his ski speed is okay today, but he's got 8 seconds to make up on the German. And Frank Ulrich, who looked very relaxed, almost thought he had the win in the bag, now starting to look a little nervous. His charge coming around the last corner and unable to pull away from the rest of the competitors around him. Going ahead of Ebisawa of Japan. It's hurting Mike, it's really painful, but it's got to hurt if he wants the win.
Oh, he is on his limit. Grice knows it. In fact, there's very little between Sherazov and Grice in all the previous loops, only about 1 or 2 seconds ski time difference. Great to see the Slovenian Maritz, Janis Maritz back. And back on form. Hasn't done all the World Cup races, but he did miss 2 there in his standing.
52.01, the time that Chepikov recorded at 19.4. He's got a big margin still. He was 26 ahead, and just trying to do some quick mathematics. I think he's 15 ahead now, so he's lost 10 seconds to Chepikov, which should mean that if Cherezov can pick up and ski at the same pace as Chepi and Rojkov on the last loop, then Mickey Grice is in trouble. But I find it hard to believe that we'll see that sort of a change in form from Cherezov. But stranger things have happened. Now, Sven Fischer, 1 miss early on, puts him out of contention for a win. Likes to do things differently, Fischer. Notice his cocking handle. 5 out of 5, that's good enough. His ski sticks are different, his cocking mechanism is different. Is that just stubbornness, or...?
It's a good point, isn't it? Not just his ski poles, the only one with the T handles, and the only athlete out of 126 with the pistol grip recocking. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that. 2 different aspects. Yeah, it's good to have your own feelings and thoughts on technique and different aspects, and it works for Sven. Can Cherezov match this and beat this ski speed, I wonder?
We'll have a look at Mickey Grice's form as he comes in. Watch for movement of the shoulders and the hips. He's not got far to go now. He needs to just get those arms working to cover the last 50, 60 metres. 53.11 on the clock. 53.34 is certainly going to go, but it's all about the man chasing him, Cherezov. Mickey Grice with his performance of a lifetime. 53, 18.7, 20 with 20. He joins the perfect club for the individual race, and he has got to wait now 5, 6, 7 minutes to see whether he's done enough. 8.3 seconds in hand. We'll get another split as Cherezov goes through 19.4. That could tell us everything. Well, Chepikov has taken 15 seconds out of Grice in the last 4Ks, and that might bode well for Shezarov. Ruslan Lysenko. Oh.
Well, I think it's good news for Mickey Grice out there at 18.3 kilometres. Just confirming that Cherezov is 17 seconds behind now, so he's lost, what's that, 7 or 8 seconds from the range to 18.3 kilometres. Doesn't look good.
Yeah, he's lost 9 over the last kilometre or so. So Cherezov burning out like he did in Oslo. That's a real shame. So he's now fighting again to try and stay on the podium. Vincent Defrag, good powerful ski, 2 misses, would have been 17 seconds off the pace of Mickey Grice. That would have been good enough for second position, but those 2 misses have cost him dearly. Here comes Poiret. What's he managed to do? Just the 1 miss today. Can he get in the top 3 with a miss? It's not beyond him. Down in 5th when he went through 18.3, Raphael Poiret, 131 off the leaders, and quite a margin to pick up. I cannot see him getting into the top 4. Can you, Mike?
Too much to ask there, I think. Not even Poiret could pull back such a time gap to get into 4th.
I think Bergman might have put in a good enough finish to hold on to 5th position. Doesn't look quite as evenly balanced. I don't know whether it's because the number's falling off that right leg, but he doesn't look to be as symmetrical as normal. Not as happy on his right foot as we usually see.
No, as the race has progressed, you can just feel that his technique, normally we see Poiret looking composed all the time, smooth all the time, but he really is going for it. He's desperately trying to move up one more slot, and as usual, He's a brilliant biathlete, top 5, top 6 in almost every race this season.
And he's done enough to regain the World Championship yellow, or the World Cup yellow bib. He will take over from Bjorn Dahlund again, those having a real cat and mouse affair this year. Bjorn Dahlund sitting out this round of the World Cups. If you just joined us, just to let you know, he's not going to be featuring. We don't think he's going to feature much this month, which is a shame. 55.04 for Poiret, up into 5th position. He holds off Defra, but he fails to hold on to Bergman, which could mean that Raphael Poiret drops down into 6th or even 7th position, because Sherazov has yet to finish. Here comes Sherazov, and he's starting to look pretty messy. The head is gone. He's got the old Harry Kivisniemi head tilted to the right-hand side. Lots of movement in the hips and the shoulders. This is the most painful ski. Surely he can't be denied a podium finish yet again. It's almost exactly the same as we saw in Oslo 2 months ago. Can he hold on? Sherazov goes through 19.4. 52.01 the time. Oh, he's going to lose out to Chepikov.
Oh, he's desperately tired, Patrick. He could, maybe he's not even going to get 3rd position. Look at his head. His body has just spent all the energy over the last 19.7 kilometers. He's spent. He's lost it. He has lost it. 53.22. He'll hold off Bergman, and it's a great day for the Russians. 2nd, 3rd and 4th position at 19.4. Sven Fischer goes through 49.18. He's making an advance. Wow, he's not so far off a top 4 position as well. Rozhkov's not safe, Sherazov's not safe, and Fischer could be on the podium with this sort of finish, just as you promised. Oh, unbelievable. This man, Fischer, he can really lift his game in the last 8-10 kilometers. Such amazing endurance, self-control, and do the German staff know that he is moving forward.
But they also know that Mickey Grice is safe in top spot. No one else in the field is going to be able to chase him down. It's just a question now of how far up Sven Fischer will go. Sherazov he's come back to life now, Mike, with Fischer coming through, and amazingly he's managing to hang on to the back. He may get blown away on the next uphill section, but this could earn Sherazov a podium finish. One more climb all the way up. It's a long 150 meters or so before it flattens into the range, and Sherazov clinging on to his hope of getting a top 3. Rico Gross coming in, 19 out of 20. So often a race-winning shoot, but not today. 55.34. He's got 6th spot, just behind Raphael Poiret, who stays in 5th for now.
Oh, Sherazov, he's staggering. Absolutely nothing left in his body. Could not ask for more. In fact, he really has to push it now to get 4th place. Sorry, he's got plenty of time for 4th place. Getting too excited here. Well, 4th in Oslo, 4th again today, but is it going to last?
I'm not sure. I think Fischer looks so strong that he may go ahead of both Sherazov and Rozhkov. Here he is, right. I do apologise, I thought it was Sherazov on the heels of Fischer. It is in fact Jay Hakkinen of the United States who's come back to life. Hakkinen started 47, Fischer started 51, so Hakkinen's lost 2 minutes ski time to Fischer, which is unexpected.
It is unexpected. Jay has not been shooting that well out there.
He was on dreadful form in Antolz as well, 97th, 40th, and then he didn't even bother to start in the pursuit event, so the form he showed earlier on in the season seems to have been deserting him. I wonder whether he's one of those men that just doesn't like the altitude.
Seems like Jay Hakkinen there following Sven just lost a little bit of form since he's made his 2 qualifying results to gain his place to the Olympics. Kruglov, once again, reliable.
Take 3 minutes off that time. 54.07 would have been a top 3 finish. That's how he'll look at it, but 3 misses push him down into 15th place. He's still got points, may just stay in the top 10. Here comes Sven Fischer blasting through the rest of the pack. He's gone past his teammate Mikael Roche wearing number 79. He's still got Jay Hakkinen for company. Good ski from Häkkinen, but I think it does show that he hasn't been working hard enough for the rest of the course.
Possibly set out in control, and now he's finding that he, although when you get a fast athlete like Sven Fischer coming past you, and you know you can be dragged on, if you can just stay with him, it does bring some little bit of extra magic out of you. What a pity for Sherazov to lose so much in just the final 1.6 kilometers. Slovenia can be happy though to have their trump card, their best player, back on form. Hasn't done many World Cups, only 4 this year. But Maritz is back. That's a fantastic effort.
56.58 for Maritz, 3:39 off the lead. Now, what has Fischer managed to do in the closing stages? The work rate is still there. He just digs so deep, loves the event, and I'm so impressed by his pacing of the events, Mikey. He doesn't panic, he knows he's good at this sort of thing, and he doesn't rush the first half of the race, and he just builds and builds and builds, and he climbs up the order. He always gets positive splits. Oh, he's just missed out on Sherazov's time of 44 minutes, and he goes into 5th. Great finish by Fischer, just towering in the last 500 metres. 44.5 seconds off the lead, so 15 seconds quicker than Mickey Grice in ski terms, but it's only good enough for 5th. Mickey Grice stays number 1. That first World Cup win almost certainly assured now. Roche. 3 misses already, so in fact it's Bernbacher. I thought
Roche had come through earlier. But again, the young Germans, in fact the Germans overall, their shooting performances, I think as a team they are the best today. So just 4 kilometers left for Bernbacher. Looking at the final 4 kilometers, Patrick, Chepikov has outskied anybody by 7 seconds. Hannevold was 4th fastest on the final 4 kilometers. As expected, he fights hard on the last loop as well.
Carsten Pump of Germany with a late start number.
His first race of the World Cup season at the World Cup. He's been at the Europa Cup, but been promoted into this one. Now there's an interesting point. See how straight his legs are there, just trying to flush his legs out coming in for his stand, I think it is, for Julien Robert. Good move that, just to try and get the feeling back into your legs before you hold the stand position.
Just lets those quads relax and the blood flow through, and hopefully get rid of some of the lactate to try and reduce the shaking. I don't think you can ever stop it quite completely. Now the French shooting has been pretty good today, not quite up to the Germans who outshot everyone else, but Robert could be the first Frenchman clear, and he is. 20 out of 20. The time not quite as quick as the top 3, but he's contending for a top 10 here, and Julien Robert will be delighted with that. 45.15.16, and he goes into 8th position. It's going to be a tough call to catch the likes of Bergman, who had a blistering last leg and he's worked his way up into the top 6 positions. There you have the standings at the finish. Could see a couple of changes, but I don't think the top 3 are going to change. Grice, Chepikov, Roshkov. Great day for the Russians in 2 and 3, but what a moment. Mickey Grice has achieved his season's goal of winning a World Cup, and my goodness, has he deserved it. Bjorn Ferry, 2 Swedes up in the top 10 at the moment, Mike. Relay chances?
Yeah, looking very good for the Swedish team. They're trying to build. They want a medal here next year in the relay, the Swedish team, and confidence is growing all the time. But this man put it together so well today. Held his nerve on that last shoot.
Now here's a point. You see his position there with the hands very tight at the front, the poles out to the side. I know it's only minimal, but surely that's called wind resistance.
Yeah, most people try and keep the poles tucked in behind you or level with your body. But it's not high speeds though. There, that section of snow wasn't huge amount of speed. But it's his individual style, isn't it? He keeps his arms or his ski poles very wide. Maybe he doesn't want anyone to pass him. Roadblock. Just looking at Tom Clements after the third shoot. He's gone 0-2-0 and in 45th place. That's a good performance for Tom. Excitement here at San-Sicario, the Olympic venue for next year's Olympic Games. And Mickey Grice doesn't look like, for Germany, doesn't look like he's going to be beaten today. He's had the perfect shoot and a fantastic ski time as well, with Chepikov in second place at the finish, and Roshkov shooting the perfect 20 out of 20 as well. So we pick up on Roche, the young German, missed 3 in total there. Now he'll be pushing to stay and remain in the top 30 to pick up World Cup points. This is him just coming out of the range now. Here he is on his final 4 kilometers. So it's been the same ski loop, the same 4 kilometers, 5 times. Today's best Italian, Paolo Longo.
Well, they've got a bit of improving to do if they want to take medals at their home Olympics next year. The same really applies in the cross-country skiing, Mike. They've really been struggling this year. A little bit of a few problems in the teams with the management and so on. But I'm just wondering what they can do in the space of 12 months to up their game 4-5%.
They need to up the game. Well, we did see Vullemo in Ruhpolding winning bronze, a 3rd place in the sprint. So, I mean, they have the potential there to get up to the podium, but it's keeping the consistency. They have an awful lot of work to do.
And you need 4 or 5 men capable of winning to make sure that at least 2 of them are on form come the big day. Norway can do that, the Germans can certainly do that. Russia now look as though they can do that, having brought some youngsters into the squad over the last couple of seasons. Not so sure about the French. They obviously have the world's number 1 or 2, whichever way you see that, but they don't have 4 or 5 who can win.
That is true, and when you're looking at medals in the relay, you need consistently well-placed athletes to get that belief and to secure your position, or to get a medal at the Olympics in the relay. It is tough. Bolschlager looking good, and that's top 20 position at the moment.
34.19 for Bolschlager. He'll be happy with that, but he's still got 1 critical shoot to come in the stand position. A total of 126 starters here today. There are the standings at the finish. All the top seeds going early, as has been the case all the way through the season. We've had that argument many times. We won't start that one again, but we will tell you that we've got not a website, but an email address. If you want to send us messages or criticism or anything, we'll take it.
Take praise as well.
It is biathlonboys@hotmail.co.uk. So get on to us, let us know what you think of the races and any predictions for the World Championships. That's always nice to know. We may need some help.
Just looking further down, Patrick, at the finish, the Swiss biathlete who's been having a good season, Matti Simon, really gone badly wrong today. He's missed 9 targets and down in 51st. Only 57 athletes finished. There's Berger, just recently finished as well. Robin Clegg normally does well in the 20 kilometre, down in 41st. He's missed 5.
Jay Hakkinen will be disappointed with his run, Mike, down in 40th, out of the points yet again. So I'm just starting to think that possibly he doesn't perform at altitude, which will be very, very depressing. I can't remember any previous results. Maybe we'll check on that for the next sprint event, to look at Häkkinen's results in history in Antolz and of course Salt Lake City, where he was expecting to do great things, but it didn't happen.
No, indeed there could be an issue there, but I do remember in the past he has had a 9th in Antolz, possibly 5 or 6 years ago, as a very junior, or coming into the senior, should I say.
It wasn't the year before the Olympics?
Possibly.
The year before the Olympics, when half the field weren't there.
But it was still a good performance.
Oh, an excellent performance. But altitude's one of those funny things, you know, some people can cope with it and others can't, and it's got nothing to do with your fitness levels at all on many occasions. Certainly with high altitude climbers, some people get to 10,000 feet or around 4,000 meters and pack up, whereas others can waltz up to 7,000 without too much trouble.
Indeed, individuals. There's Mesetic getting a serious head shake from his German coach for missing 2 in that last stand. That would have, or taking those 2 out.
Yeah, 1:23 would have been a competitive time. He would have been looking at a top 5 on the last loop, but I think his spirit's somewhat deflated with that final shoot. Quick reminder, plenty of racing to come. We've got the women's individual tomorrow, and then the sprints for men and women over the next 2 days, taking us up to Saturday, and then 2 relays on Sunday. Looking forward to that. They're long events, but certainly with the rise of the Russian team, the men's now between Russia, Norway and Germany, as has always been the case, but the French, if they can just get them all performing, have a chance of taking it. And Slovenia, Slovakia, always in the running for a podium, along with Belarus, should one of the top 3 teams make mistakes.
I agree, indeed. In fact, there's Tom Clements in 59th after this 4th shoot.
Do you think he's going to miss 4 just to complete the set?
Well, it's looking that way. That is such a pity for Perner. He puts it together on some days and gets himself way up there, but for his shooting, but yeah, looking at the relay and all the races here in this, at the Olympic site here, psychologically it's still a year away to the Olympics, but it's a big deal. You come here as an athlete and you look at everything around you. You look at the course profile, and all summer you'll be imagining these tracks as you're training every day, and how you're going to react here in the Olympic Games.
And I can tell you that Mickey Grice, who has the lead at the moment, will be making sure he's up to date on his training diary, and that he knows every little trick that he got up to this year, and he'll try and repeat the process next year. Obviously he'll want a fraction faster on the skiing, but he'll look at the 4 days before the race and say, well, that seemed to work perfect, and he'll look at how much racing he did in Antolz, and he'll just say, well, it worked this time, let's give it another go next year. It doesn't always work, but certainly it will give him a certain amount of confidence to say, well, I know what to do. All those who put in bad races have got to think again.
Absolutely. He's come here, he's the best in the world today, and that's all you need to be, the best in the world on any given day. And if it's the Olympic 20-kilometre day, then you're Olympic champion. So I agree, Mickey Grice just needs to follow the routine as he did coming into this one today.
And that's something where I think a lot of younger biathletes don't experiment enough with their preparation, maybe 4 or 5 days before the race. And when you've got a long history of racing, it's always worth just making a note of what you tried and how you felt and what the results were like. And then when you find a combination of training days that works for you, stick with it, and then just make minor adjustments. But a lot of people just do what the coach says, as opposed to just experimenting yourself, because I'm convinced you have to know your own body better than your coach does.
I agree. At the end of the day, it's you that drives your body. Julien Robert, once again, the perfect shoot. This man is a great shot. Just a little bit off the ski pace, but he will be happy with 11th.
Welcome back to San-Sicario, the pre-Olympic venue for the biathlon events. And this, well, if it's like this next year, he'll be happy. On duty, security guard, but enjoying the sunshine, and it really is stunning. So often we get these conditions in whether we're racing in the Dolomites or here in the Italian Alps. It's absolutely stunning. 3 misses for Antilla in the last shoot, and they have cost him dear. 58.49, 36th position. 2 misses and he would have got points. 1 miss and he would have been in the top 15. No misses and he would have been certainly competitive for a top 10. He would have had top 10. So I guess he's got to be positive and say, well, I've just got to improve my last shoot.
Yeah, top 10 when it went so well. The first 15 shots.
Tom Clements lying in 62nd position after the 4th shoot. Certainly Tom's improved his skiing this year, and when he puts the skiing and a clear shoot together, I think we're going to see something close to the top 40.
Indeed, he missed 0.202. So the stand needs to work on that, and taking those 4 minutes away, it's a good performance. Well, the German ladies coach Uwe Musagai viewing the proceedings. Looks a bit hot out there.
He looks worn out.
They're watching it on the big screen.
Well, what a pleasure it must be coaching the German team. One success follows another, and they've got one today with Mickey Grice. I wonder who has got the best chance in the women's individual tomorrow. Uschi Diesel desperately needs a win if she wants to revitalise her challenge for the overall World Cup this year. Callie Wilhelm looks on very good form. She could be one to watch. Roach going in, 3 misses in all, 58.36. Ski time, not the best we've seen from him, and he's outside the World Cup points as well, so that's a disappointing day. Shake of the head says it all.
It's a beautiful backdrop here to the range and the stadium. High mountains all around. And thin air. You can hear the gasping of the athletes as they fall across the line. Only 21-year-old Michael Roche. A bit confused as to which way to go.
I think that's the result of oxygen deprivation.
As you finish, you walk out of the pen there, and the officials, as we saw, they open the bolt. So they make sure that the bolt is back and there's no ammunition underneath to cause any danger.
Vadim Sashurin hasn't quite had the season that he wanted, or made the impact that he wanted after serving his 2-year ban. But 19 out of 20, that's more promising, and hopefully he'll wind the season up with some good races. Still long time to go. Slightly extraordinary having the World Championships in March, but that's the way it is this year. Racing obviously this week in Italy, San-Sicario. We go to Pacluca next week with sprints, pursuits and mass starts. That's one of the most exciting programmes of the season, as we just cue in on Mark Walker, his final shoot. 4 out of 5. Good stuff, Mark. 3 misses in all. And he's hit one more target than Tom Clements, not skiing quite as quickly, 50.30, but he was pretty impressive at the British Championships, Mike, winning the 15-kilometre classic in well, without the rifle.
Indeed he was, and he also won the 20-kilometre. Well done, Mark Walker. He's staggering a little bit there. Now he really will push so hard in the final 4 kilometres, try to move up 5 positions, maybe 6 positions. This man also raced at the British Championships, took the first leg for the German team in the relay.
Did you beat them?
We didn't actually, no.
Was that biathlon or straight skiing?
That was biathlon. They put in a couple of German teams.
Yeah.
Vorschlager, Rico was going to race.
And were they recognised in the prize giving?
I'm not sure. I had to leave that day after the biathlon relay, and the Kieran Gorham Biathlon and Nordic Club actually won the race that day in the British terms.
So that's the first time that a civilian club have won a British biathlon title.
That is right, yeah. It was a good day, and it was a strange experience after 3 years retired to be jumping on that start line and racing.
So the Chelsea of British biathlon.
We pulled them in.
But good news, no, congratulations to all those guys involved. And let's hope it is an indication that there is a future for biathlon, certainly in Britain, and the club up in Aviemore. Zdeněk Vítek of the Czech Republic, 2-1, a bad start, but he settled down in the closing stages. 3:42 outside. Very, very good points for Vítek when you consider that he has missed 3 targets, and his ski speed, impressive.
Indeed, Vítek will be delighted with that. Only 42 seconds off.
Only one man with 3 misses has gone faster. That was Halvard Hannevold, who's lying in 13th, who went earlier on. And with the conditions warming up, I do suspect it was just that fraction quicker earlier.
Yes, you get that impression. A little bit of dampness coming now into the snow, which causes the suction. Well, Mesetic missing 2. It is 2 out of 5 in the last standing.
Well, that's been the story of the day, Mike. If we go back to the 3rd shoot, I think we're going to find that there are over 10 people clear at that stage, but only 3 clear on the finish line at the moment.
Here's Tom Clemens sprinting to the line, fatigue in the legs, a lot of races at the British Champs. Top 60, 58th so far.
Now, what would that have meant with 4 minutes taken off? 3:52 behind would have seen him into the top 50. It doesn't actually push him up that many places, to be honest, because the standard's so high. 47 with a clear shoot.
Well, that would have just put him ahead of Frode. In fact,
well, that would have been a scalp worth talking about, beating Frode Andersen, but perhaps not so much in the individual. That's not his forte. He'll look forward to the sprint event in 2 days' time. Pavel Hryat, 1 miss, 5:04. Ski form has gone. Welcome back to San-Sicario and the men's 20-kilometre. The first race since the Biathlon World Cup got underway. They've had a good long break, and this, in effect, the pre-Olympic Games. And so far, it's been a great day for Russia and Germany. Germany with Mickey Grice on top of the leaderboard at the moment. Chepikov in 2nd, Rojkov 3rd, Sherazov in 4th, and then Sven Fischer in 5th. Best of the rest, Bergman of Sweden, another good run from him in 6th position at the moment. Rafael Perret has now been pushed down into 7th, having gone into 5th when he finished. And we have to make a quick apology. Tom Clements of Great Britain has finished in the top 60. If he'd hit all the targets, he would have finished in just outside the top 20. So that's not quite as bad as we thought.
Yes, we were looking at the 3rd shooting time, so I think he'll take heart from his ski speed there, and we'll be working on his shooting tonight, I'm sure.
5 misses in all for Grigoriev. One of the young Russians just being given experience, and really it is all about experience. Don't look at the results too severely at this stage. Give him 5 or 6 runs and then you get a measure of what he's capable of. Belarus have faded a little this year, Mike. They're nearly always competitive when it comes to the team events, but just get the feeling that they're not there.
No, this has been their worst season for, well, since they became Belarus as an independent racing nation. And the best athlete today, Novikov, 23rd, although it was looking good for Aderov until his last couple of shoots, missing 1 and then 2. But it appears as if the Belarus ski speed is on the up, and I think we can expect much better things at the World Championships in 4 weeks' time from the Belarus team.
Do you think we'll see Drachev feature?
Well,
he's not here today.
They're resting him up. He did lose all his form. He had nothing left really. He wasn't anywhere near good ski form. So I think he will be back, yes, for the World Championships. He loves Hochfelsen. That course suits Drachev more than anybody. So I hope we see him back, the old campaigner. Chinese Zhang, 29th place. He missed 4 targets today, although only 33 seconds ski speed behind Mickey Grice. Vadim working hard on his final phase of the race. Maximising his glide down this gradual hill, getting into the tuck position. Good performance there for the young Pole, Pika. I think he'll be happy with that. An experience for next year, get to know the course. Profile, the feeling entering the range. Only 4 out of the athletes finished so far have managed to hit all of the targets. It's not easy on any given day. And if there's 4 going clear today, depending on the conditions at the Olympics, you wouldn't normally expect more than 1 or 2 to hit all the targets with the added pressure of the Olympic Games. Boschlager looking very tired. The hat is off. The body attitude is so fatigued. Started fast and running out of steam just a little bit. Seven penalties for the Latvian, Zimielis. Not a bad ski speed.
You've chosen an earlier start, a late start number here, Mike. Bearing in mind the slight change in conditions, it's just got a little bit warmer, but the tracks have held together. There's certainly there aren't any powdery stretches on the uphills.
I think I would have opted for an earlier start, while the glide and the track was held just that little bit better on the corners. It's become icy as it does on the man-made snow on the corners. New American Olsen on the World Cup scene, just ahead of his teammate Best.
Vadim Sashurin, who had a much better day on the range, but still losing significant time over the closing stages. 3:35 behind the leaders. 2:35 good enough for a top 15 had he hit that other target. So Sashurin's still got some work to do with his conditioning, but I think he'll be massively impressed with his shooting. 19 out of 20 in any individual is good, and Sashurin will know that he can start focusing on the skiing now rather than worrying about how he's going to shoot. And we'll watch out for him in the sprint event on Friday, assuming of course that he gets a start. Some of the latest starters coming through for their last shoot now. Another 10 to go. This is Zlatkauskas of Lithuania. Don't go for the colour of the rifle.
Well, matches his ski suit.
Exactly.
Well, he certainly looks to have built a good position there, but 2 penalties on his last 5 standing. Seeing Mark Raymond, the Australian, in 105th after the stand shoot, or his final stand shoot. Mark Raymond skis in July, August and early part of September back home in Australia. I was talking to him. He actually raced down at the group holding, the British Championships. And there's Mark Walker, the British 20-kilometre champion, 68th at the moment.
So just a couple of places behind Tom Clements. He slips in front of Slettemark of Denmark, who's another part-timer, I could guess you could call him, where he works for 8 months of the year and then hits the tour for 4 months intensive racing. And in fact, that's a good run for Slettemark. He'll be delighted with that because shooting's been a major problem over the years, and at the moment in the top half of the field. Well, that's all we got time for from Italy for now. We can confirm, well, it's not official as yet, but there will be no changes to the top 3 positions. Mickey Grice takes his first ever win. The 28-year-old from Ruhpolding, 3 times he's finished in second, but he goes one better today, and that should move him up into the top 10 of the world rankings. Chepikov second in the last race in Antolz in the pursuit. He's gone second again, a great run for the old man. And then Sergei Roshkov puts 2 Russians on the podium, and in fact the Russians second, third and fourth. But the day belonging to Mickey Grice.